What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Lucas Live. My name is Lucas Tyndale. Extremely excited to be here with you guys. I am here with a guest that's been a guest, probably one of my first 10 episodes of season one you were on. You've been on season 2, and here we are in another season. It might just make sense.
Listen, I'll be on whatever you want me to be on.
Man, I appreciate it. For those of you guys who do not know Cyrus Asar, he is the owner of Greatness Cafe. If you go there, I just want to warn you that if you have smoothies that you think you're making at home, or you got smoothies that you're picking up from these other smoothie spots, you might still go there because you're desperate, but they ain't going to be the same, okay? Because it's something different going on at the Greatness Cafe. He's also raised over $6 million for the community. He was the youngest recipient of the Humanitarian Award here in Ohio. He has a mental health and wellness center and so many more things that we could talk about. This man has biked from California to Mass. So I don't even know if this stuff is even possible. It sounds like superhero stuff to me. But one thing I really appreciate about you is we talked about you being on the show. And there's never been a season or a time where it was like, one, I didn't know you as well in season 1. I had seen some of your work. I reached out. You said, no problem. Let me know. First, I appreciate and respect that. Then as the seasons went along, we've continued to get to know each other, support each other. And you said to me one day, probably 6 months ago or something, we talked about you coming on again. And you said, Lucas, whenever it works for you. You said, no pressure to have me back on the show. I'm not going to act funny about it. I'm not going to be looking at you saying you promised me something. You said you're a busy man. You're doing a lot. I respect you. I respect what you're doing. Don't let me or anybody else force you into that spot where you feel the pressure of having to have someone on your show.
Yes, sir.
That meant a lot to me, man. I can picture where I was sitting when you said it. I was in my car outside of Best Buy on the Strip, and I was sitting there thinking, I'm feeling like I let you down because I hadn't had you on fast enough. And you're saying to me, I truly understand in a world and a place and a space where so many people don't understand. So I just wanted to start there by thanking you.
Well, first off, I appreciate that. But I wanted to say this. You don't owe anybody anything.
Yeah.
The fact that you created this, thousands of dollars went into this. Who am I to say you should do something for me whenever it doesn't align? Those are people that is selfish.
Yeah.
You know, they're looking at your platform for their agenda.
Right.
See, I looked at your platform and just love you for what you do. So whenever you want to have me is when you'll have me.
Right.
Whenever not, it's all good. You don't owe me nothing. So the fact that I'm here now, I'm appreciative. Right. I look at everything that you do, and I understand how hard it is to build up from a table that you have in your house, to transition into a studio, to buying cameras when it's $1,000 here and it's $1,200 here. Then when you on site, then the weather kick out, then it rain and you got to make adjustments. Then this person giving an interview where they only got 2 words, and then the sound, and then I get it all. So that's why I say you don't owe no one nothing but to be the purest version of yourself and walk in alignment with whatever God has for you. And those who is for you will stay for you, and those who are not, it's great that they will separate themselves from you.
Ooh, that's real. That's big. We ended that conversation, and you didn't call to for anything. I think you were calling to invite me to something, to introduce me to some people. I wasn't able to make it to an event you were doing for Walsh University, so shout out to you for all of that. But you reach out to people in your circle and you say, not just come support me and watch me speak. You were like, no, I can introduce you to the person so they will have you speak.
See, the thing that I look at, and this always get confused, I'm glad that you touched on that, is I truly care and love people, like from the depths of my heart.
Right.
So even at my speaking event, I'm sitting here thinking about who can
Putting
come.
other people on.
I try my best.
Right.
So even when I reach out to people, and this always get misconstrued. When I reach out to people, they'll think it's an ulterior motive.
Right.
I'm like, no, I like your product.
Right.
I want to introduce you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but I understand also that is the separation. There's an energy there.
Yeah.
And it's God always present. So when I'm reaching out to somebody, I know where my heart is.
Right.
I know I truly care.
Yeah.
And there's a long list. You went to the bowling event.
Yep.
There's a long list of people that answered that phone call and seeing how I respond to them and how I embrace them and how I love them. And then there's people that will shoo me away like I want something else.
Right.
I had somebody even say this to me. I seen them going through something, and then I reached out on social media, and I'm like, you know, if ever, you can always come to the cafe. We have a smoothie for you, a sandwich, whether you want to have a conversation or whether you want to sit by yourself. And they said, well, what's your intent? I was like, it froze me.
You're like, I'm just trying to feed you. I'm just trying to help you.
Because I've been doing this for the community forever.
Right.
So when somebody asked me what's my intent, I never got asked that question since 13.
Wow.
So that was like one of the first times I was like, wait a minute, what is my intent?
Right. Like
I don't have nothing. So I don't know.
What do you mean? Right.
I don't know how to reply to this. Right. But the when you represent yourself in the purest form, you always gonna have outside entities that's gonna try and distract you and remove you from that.
Right.
So I understand when somebody is coming at me for some type of way, it has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
You know, it has everything to do with what they're going through. So I'll always be forgiving and whatnot. But yeah.
That's big. I respect it. I appreciate it, and I want it to. It makes you want to honor things like that. When you have people who are genuine like that, it makes you think, how soon can I make it work, as opposed to the people who are pulling on you. And you know, I like you. My heart is for the people. I want to interview every person who has a business, or every person who's doing something positive in the community, or every person who aspires to be a positive impact. All I want to talk about is positive, in the sense that if somebody just is on trash, that's not my platform.
That's why I say it's all about alignment. When you look at, let's just take a seed. You plant a seed too deep, it won't grow because you know, water and sunlight won't get to it. You plant it too close to the top, a bird will eat it or anything like that. You got to place it at the right space. And then it takes the conditions. It takes the rain, it takes the water, it takes this, it takes that, all the way to get to a point where it blooms. And if you ever notice, a flower isn't struggling to bloom. It blooms when all the conditions are right to do so. So when you look at life like that, when you run into people when it's time to interview them, if it feels forced, then that's you trying to be on your own time. If it feels organic, then you're on God's time. So that's why I always look at it. I'm never forcing nothing. I'm not asking someone twice. I'm not doing anything that's in a forcing nature. Everything is on God's time, and I just try to live that way. So I don't mean to cut off what you were about to say, but that's why when it comes down to the interviews with you or anybody that I love, it's just whenever it is, I'll be here back tomorrow if you want me here, or if it's next year. No matter what, it's not going to stop the way I feel about you as a man, as a person, as a husband, and all those things. So even when I reach out and like, man, what's your package? What's your sponsorship package? Let me send this out to people. I offer, like, let me get your package. Let me send it out to people, while you have other people that I know grew up with you that probably ain't contribute one dime, but they want to be on the show. You get what I'm saying? So that's what we dealing with, people that have that entitlement. And I learned that with entitlement, it's dangerous. Because with entitlement, if you do something right for them, they did it on their own. If it doesn't work out, you did it. All the time.
You have no idea how deep that statement is.
All the time.
I said that to someone who literally said that to me. I mean, they basically said, I did well. They said, well, it's because of me.
See?
And then some things went wrong. And they said, well, Lucas, that's because of you. It was a mentor. That I was like, I can't rock with you. You can't tell me I'm only successful. If I listen to all of your advice and I succeeded, and that same advice in some areas didn't work, you can't tell me that all the good stuff you said worked and some of the stuff you said didn't work for me. And maybe I didn't work it out perfectly, but nobody is. And as the mentor, you got to make adjustments for that as the mentor and not blame me. That hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to that mentor, but a lot of us operate out of ego. So that's why they can look at something, or they give you some advice and say, oh, you listen to me. That's the reason why. That's for their ego. As men, we have to shed that, you know, because you can't operate to your fullest potential when you carrying around that, the bravado. Because now I'm not going to give you advice for your best intent. I'm going to give you advice on what can have the best outcome for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I've seen people get talked into stuff that wasn't for them, but the outcome can look better. You know what? You need to take that job because it's going to pay more and boom, boom, boom. But I don't want to pick cotton.
Right. I don't want to do that.
But I'm telling you, if you just pick that cotton
for a year,
and you get the humming, don't consider yourself a slave. Consider yourself.
Because they paying you pretty good.
Yeah, they paying you good. You know what I'm saying? But, I'll do it if I was in your position.
But you ain't doing it.
Yeah, so
Right.
that's why I say you evaluate the whole thing and look at the people, look at where they at in their life. And some people mean well by it, but that entitlement, you will see the ego come in with it.
Absolutely. To me, so what has helped you throughout your life? Someone who started at a young age trying to give back to your community, and you've shared about your story and your parents and so many things that led you to be who you are today, and really adversity, really tremendous adversity. When you think about being someone who wants to give back so much, what is that about?
The giving back so much has been in me. I can't shake it. I've even had questions with myself about it. Like, if I look at all my friends, and this is not no shot at none of my friends, I call them significantly more than they call me. I check in on people significantly more than they check in on me. And I remember at one point I used to be hurt about it. Like, dang, it seemed like everybody that I know, I'm always like, where friendship is based on me, where it's lopsided.
Yeah.
But then I realized that's also my character. So every time that I stop, I'm giving up a piece of the purity of who I truly am. So, but that giving back to the community has always been in me since the beginning, and it can't stop. Like, even when I try to stop, it's a force that's going against it. But I say the thing that helped me the most was shedding what I wanted to portray and being true to who I am. That's the hardest part, because we have a perception. All of us walk outside. All of us carry a mask.
Yes.
All of us got thoughts on our pillow that we wipe off our face in the morning and go out into this world. So I wanted to help people fight the battles that they're hiding from the world, the same way I was hiding stuff, the same way I was faking, the same way I was a hypocrite, same way I was in the ego, same way I was looking at women to dump my emotions into and then not really caring about them. All those things, I'm honest about it all.
That's
because I had to go through it. And then when you and there's no excuse. You got some people that grew up with bad fathers, so therefore they become bad fathers, then blame it on the father. You know, they don't break the cycle. Me, I grew up with a great father, but I grew up with a lot of different circumstances that I didn't want to use those circumstances as excuses to who I am. But I had to dig deep on why I'm there. Why am I 24 and why am I so emotionless? Am I actually running from the problem? Am I actually embracing the issue? Like, why am I feeling that way? Why is it that I can even be with a woman and she can go off and do her thing, and I truly, to the core of me, don't care.
Didn't care, right?
Don't care, and that's not reasonable. That means I can never find nobody true because I'm not putting myself in a vulnerable space because I was afraid.
Right.
So if I and I always evaluate how you do small things is how you do big things. So if I look at a relationship and I'm afraid, what else am I afraid? Am I afraid on the business front? That's the reason why I'm not as successul, because I'm psychologically setting myself up for failure. I'm gonna allow myself to get to this certain point and clip myself because I'm too afraid.
Right.
Now, the things I can feel strong about, I play basketball. I'm strong about that, but still, I didn't become successful at it. Well, you know, NBA, we can use that as I didn't become successful. Then when I look at my friend Norris Cole, who played for Heat, he was significantly harder worker than me. Significantly, you know, he was on it on a level that I was not. But I had to look at myself and say, you have to be honest and pure with yourself. And that's the hardest conversation a man is going to have with himself, because you'll realize you are where you are based on you.
That's deep.
Now, that's a hard conversation, because we all, as men, we have a victim mentality. My mom, man, she didn't show up to all my games, so no, I understand. But we 50 now, bro. That happened when you was 12. And then now what do? We find a girl to dump that on until she get to a point she can't take it no more. Then we find another girl to dump it on. Sometimes we find more at the same time. Where I'll be like, okay, I got 2 or 3 girls where I'm just going to dump everything on.
And I'm going to be emotionless.
Correct.
But I'm going to expect her to have the capacity to carry all my junk while I call myself the tough man.
Correct. Ego.
Wow. That's
ego,
deep. Bro. That is deep. So these are not. Let's talk about the Greatness Cafe and your speaking and some of the things you do. I mean, it's like you didn't prep for this interview, because I don't have any set questions, but I have no doubt I could ask you anything and you just have thoughts on things. Like, cause this is how we talk. This is how you talk to people in general. When, like, the insight that you've come to, like, how have you learned to frame your thinking into words so well? Because you do speaking engagements, here you're on a podcast just flowing, no problem. Somebody out there is thinking a man does not have the words to say what you said.
Mm-hmm.
How did you gather your thoughts, and how are you able to articulate this so well?
I think it was self-reflecting and absolutely crushing myself. What I mean by that is I really destroyed the ego, the everything. But it took 7 years to do that. It took a long time of being homeless and all that, purposely homeless. To find out who I was. I read the Bible, I read Quran, I read every book that everybody recommend. Every book that everybody recommend that you find yourself in, The Alchemist, 7 Ways to Influence, all of them. I read them all. But I didn't find me. I didn't find me in nothing. And I found tidbits of things that I could respect, but I didn't find me. So the way I was able to articulate is I was able to go deep and break myself down and build myself up in truth, and got a chance to surround myself with great people. And those people helped me, I guess, navigate the right words. And I got a friend that's also a priest. I got some great people around me. A friend that's a priest, a friend that's a pastor, a friend that's actually in the streets and selling dope, a friends that, so I got all these different people in walks of life, and I don't judge nobody. Therefore, I'm able to hear their truths. And when I hear their truths, I'm able to express my truths with them. And that gives me a lot of perspective. Because it's not too often that you get somebody that's able to talk to the cop. And these are people that even come into the cafe. The cop is coming in, the drug dealer is coming in, the detective is coming in, the person that was on the run came in, the judge comes in, the people from child and social services comes in, the people that lost their kids come in, and all of them talk to me. So I'm able to hear all the perspectives of life, and I'm able to pull it in and say, okay, people are really trying to find out who they are in this world where everybody is telling them to be something that they're not. They lose that childlike. Remember when you first set up your podcast and you did the first 2 episodes, and you had that excitement because you just wanted to do it. And then over time it became business, then it became stress and whatnot. So I would always say, get back to that childlike feeling. Do it because you love doing it, not because, man, you know what, I got to reach this quota this week. I got to promise. That's what it is. Yeah, but that's the way I was able to articulate myself.
7 years?
Digging deep. It took me 7 years to find myself.
It's amazing. And the interesting part is I applaud that, because most people are whatever age they are. So 7 years isn't long when somebody's 40 and they still haven't figured it out, because they weren't willing to pause long enough to find themselves. And often we're trying to find ourselves in the mirror of someone else's eyes.
Oh my God!
I want you to look at me and tell me who I am.
Yes.
Right. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, and that's a part of kind of what you shared with me about. You said to me, Lucas, you don't owe me anything. Like, you don't, and you're still great, and you're still my friend, and you're still whatever, because you are that, not because I said that, but because you see me as that, and I should see myself as that. Talk about that a little bit, about people, that true self-discovery, and people really appreciating who they are without other validation.
Well, the toughest part is, since you're a child, you get told who you are.
You're right.
So imagine a kid. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. Imagine a kid, and they come in and they be like, I'm Spider-Man. I'm this. I'm Superman. This is the reason why I can stand on this table. I'm Superman. Matter of fact, I'm jumping on my bed, and I'm trying to jump off, and I got a towel tied around my neck.
That was me when I was a kid.
You know what I mean? I'm Superman, and I'm not looking at this bed as an object. I'm looking at this bed as something to facilitate
my springboard, because I'm about to fly.
Happiness.
Right, all right. I love that.
So when my mother come in and say, sit down, get off that bed.
You're not Superman.
Take that, fold that towel up, put that up. Sit. Matter of fact, if I hear another word come out your mouth tonight, you getting whooped. Sit down. What did she just do? She just boxed me in.
Yeah.
She didn't do it on purpose. My mom is just trying to prepare me for the world. Yes. She's trying to take her life experiences and teach them to me the best way she possibly can.
Right.
But what does it do? It puts me inside this box. Then I go to school. Then they say, sit down. Make sure you learn this. Read this book.
Stop
Make sure you do this.
Stop talking.
Shut your mouth.
When the bell rings,
boom,
do
boom,
this.
boom. And then you look at that for a period of time. Then you go to college too, if you go to college. So now you look at 4 to 24. You got 20 years of everybody telling you who you are, what you do, what you should do, etc. So what period of time do you have to find yourself if you don't self-reflect, if you don't have mentors, if you don't have books or whatnot, or you sit by a river, if you don't, and then you add this thing called social media that really tells you one big lie, man. The people that create the social media platforms don't allow their children to, I mean, what are we doing? So even now, I tell people to set a timer. Like get social media. I got 15-minute max timer on my social media.
Good
period.
For you.
And then I get rid of a lot of it. But what I'm saying is all these aspects will tell you who you are, even though it's falsified. So now you're comparing your real life to a fake life. And I give you a story. I think I may have told it, but I'm going to tell it again. We interviewed this jeweler, and to make a long story short, this jeweler was saying how when copper is polished, it looks like gold, and the average eye can't tell. So they would actually get copper chains, right? And they get it double dipped in gold. So if it ever tarnishes, you can't see what's under it. And then they get moissanite diamonds that shine really bright, and they pass a diamond test, and that's where they can get custom pieces for like $3,000, and it looked like it's a $100,000 piece, and you comparing your real life of working that to somebody's double dip copper chain. Not only that, then you got some women, and I'm not knocking none. I just seen this all out in LA, where 7 of them, and they got hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram. Where there's 7 of them living on in a studio apartment on air mattresses, sharing clothes, and they end up get on yachts or they take pictures next to vehicles that's not theirs. So it's just all that perception gets slammed on somebody, and if you can't distinguish the difference between the two, you become victim. I mean, you become victim. Yeah. Miserable, and you become the victim. You don't even understand what you're looking at is not real.
Talk to me a little bit, a term that I think I've heard a lot recently. I had never heard it till maybe a few years ago, and when I heard it, I understood it, and it resonated with me. It's not something I want to own. I sometimes try to be careful not to say I am something. You're big on that as well. Even at the Greatness Cafe, you got to say a positive affirmation to order your drink, or you're not getting nothing.
Not getting it.
Because literally the drinks are named I am this,
I am great, I am smart, I am strong.
Absolutely incredible. But a term that has come to the forefront is imposter syndrome. And a lot of people, and I understand the thought that even doing a podcast, even starting, because I didn't just start a podcast. I did 100 episodes in 6 months or something crazy, right? I then called it a business. I then incorporated it as a business, Selfdiscovery Media, and then I started doing all these things, but I didn't have any technical training in it. I didn't have anything. As a speaker, I go speak to businesses. I walk into some businesses. I'm the darkest thing other than the door. Like, ain't nothing in there of color at all.
I already know.
And it could be 50 people in the room, and I'm like, ain't nobody in any level of leadership, management, nothing. Ain't nobody. But then I see the workforce, and all of them are diverse. Anyway. Then there's a level of imposter syndrome, or this feeling that I have to overcome. I was raised, you got to be twice as good, and all that, and it's hard. So when you think about people in self-discovery and finding themselves and trying to deal with imposter syndrome, this is a sincere question. I just love to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, imposter, you mean how to overcome it, or what about it? Or
just maybe your thought on the term and the idea of it, and then how do you overcome it?
I mean, I get it, because we all need a base of start. And I think the terminology can be used incorrectly if we're just trying to, like when I was young, I was trying to be like Michael Jordan when I was playing basketball. If you'd have told me, you down here being an imposter, I was like,
that wasn't the right term, right?
Like, come on. Like, sometimes you have to follow something until you find your identity.
I like that.
So how can I say, I think we're all going to follow something until we find our identity within it. It takes you testing it. Like, it took me to go to college, and I wanted to initially to be a engineer. I had to start the classes to get to a certain point to decide this is not for me. So I ended up switching to marketing, and then I ended up getting my degree in marketing because I felt like it aligned more with me. So people, when I was young, I wanted to be Bruce Lee. I wanted to be Michael Jordan. I wanted to be everybody that I seen on TV. And I also wanted to be like my dad, but I also wanted to be like my uncle. I wanted to be like my older brother. My older brother was doing rap, and then we all wore number 30. All those things I wanted to be like. And I don't consider that imposter syndrome. I think imposter syndrome may be when somebody take it a little bit overboard and they find their identity in somebody to a point that they emulate that person. Right. They don't have no more of them.
Yes.
And
then they can't live up to it because it's not them.
Yeah, you can't. I remember seeing this one interview where it was Nipsey Hussle. And they was asking him to play, I think it was something, if I messed the story up, I'm sorry, but it was asking him to play the role of Snoop Dogg in a movie.
I saw that clip.
And he like, I'm not playing Snoop. Because afterwards, then what?
Right.
What would it do to my, so to go back to your point or your question, there will always be a starting point within others.
Right.
Like right now, I would love to emulate the behavior of Jesus.
Yeah.
If somebody say, man, you just being an imposter.
Wait a minute.
You trying to be like Jesus.
That ain't right.
Yeah,
but right.
In all reality, you have to look at long-term effects. Yeah. If I decide, Lucas, we're getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock in the morning and we're going to work out 2 hours every other day.
Right.
We're also going to eat these foods and we're going to do this. It's safe to say what we would look like in September.
Right.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you look at these patterns of consistency that you have, you can pick some up off of Michael Jordan.
I love that.
You can pick some up off of Bruce Lee. I can pick some up off of Jesus.
Yeah.
A lot off of Jesus. You get what I mean? I can pick something off of other people to make me whole.
Yes.
Like I went through this phase, and as I said, I was trying to find myself as a man, where I took a week and I studied all men that I thought were great. So I took a whole week and studied nothing but Muhammad Ali, who he was, what interviews he did, what did he read, etc. Then I went down the list, Malcolm X, all these great men, and I was able to see what things that they did and what was natural to my personality. So I don't have the bravado that
Ali.
I don't have that. I can't get up there and be like, you white. It's just it's not natural to my spirit.
Yes.
But there is things that he stood up for that I felt like I could incorporate. Yeah. So I started understanding some of the jewels he dropped, and I incorporated into it. So I don't look at it from an imposter like I'm trying to be this person. I'm trying to look at it as I'm trying to pull the greatness, the great pieces from them to add it to myself. Yeah.
That is phenomenal. I have not heard anyone articulate it that way. It is true. And I always think about imposter syndrome. I always think you suffer less from imposter syndrome when you stop being an imposter and start being yourself. But on the road to becoming yourself, we started as infants emulating maybe our parents or our siblings. And throughout life, it is not wrong to have role models. They are in a role that we aspire to be in, and I model things about myself after them. But you got to know how to, as my mom would say, eat it like bony fish, right? Like take the good, eat the meat, take out the bones. There's things about every person that it's like, I really like that about so-and-so, but I would never want to do that. I would never want to be like that.
I think we create gods out of humans.
I agree.
And then they follow it to a point that you can't understand their downfall.
Yeah.
Like you look at Puffy now, and everybody's talking about it.
I literally just thought about that.
Everybody's talking about it. Everybody talking about a Kanye Pryor. Everybody talking about these LeBron, whoever it may be. Yeah. We put them on a pedestal. Like I see kids, and I'm saying this, I don't care. I see kids passing out to get LeBron James autographed.
Right.
Think about that psychologically.
Right.
To stand in line for 8 hours with your dad.
Right.
And then pass out.
When you see
how in the world can your dad be greater than LeBron in your mind when your dad is standing next to you to get his autograph? Right. You made this man a god to your son. So now when he emulate LeBron and not you, can't be upset.
And if he do anything wrong, then that throws everything off because God has fallen.
Period. So if he emulate LeBron and not his dad, you did it. Yeah. You stood in 10 hours. You stood in line. You pitched the tent to buy some Jordans with your son. So now you put a value on something.
Right.
And now let's just look at it like this. If you come in the house, you have children. If you look in the house, if you come in the house and I value this basketball game more than I value the emotions of my son or daughter. Yeah. So to a point that I'm watching a game and they're like, man, let me tell you what happened at school. Just tell me when the game is over. Yeah. By that time, They don't want to have a conversation.
Man.
But we just told them that the game is more important than their emotions.
100%.
So what does that happen? They start masking it.
Yeah.
They're not coming to you no more.
Yeah.
Or they internalize it and want to become what you value. So now I'm going to the gym. I'm working on my game. Dad want to watch TV.
Me. Yep.
So now let me be good so Dad can finally put some appreciation towards me.
Yeah.
I lost who I am. Yeah. Right then and there because I never knew my identity. I wanted to just feel loved. That's it. I wanted to feel loved by my father. I wanted to feel loved by my mother. So I went to the furthest extent, even if it mean giving up who I am just to get that love, just to get a hug, just to get a I love you, just to get anything.
Right.
Because I know success and death is what brings people together.
Wow.
Unfortunately. If you think LeBron,
talk about that.
You think LeBron has a hard time finding out who his cousins is?
Nah.
They
coming out the woodwork.
Let's be all the way real.
Right.
That and death. You see everybody at a funeral.
Yep.
You see everybody as anything that is a great succeed.
Yep.
So because they want to say, I know you.
Yes.
They want to say, I know you while you're doing good. Then they want to say, I knew him when he's gone. So when we look at all of it and you're able to evaluate how you want to move as a man, as a woman, as whatever it is, but just understand what you're staring at.
Yeah.
Don't put your child to the side for anything and don't make something an object. Don't make
the
shoes a god. Yeah. Don't make LeBron a god. Don't make Cyrus Lucas. Don't make any of. We are great people that are doing great things. So if you want to learn from Lucas, he can talk to you about how to create a podcast.
Right.
But that don't mean you need to emulate everything. What about the time you have some wine with your wife?
Right. And they 16 years old. They like, I'm gonna do that because that's what.
I mean, just whatever it may be, because we all go through that spectrum of emotion.
Absolutely.
There's times where I'm not feeling the best.
Me too.
Somebody might come into the cafe and they really want to talk to me about life, but I'm not at my best.
Yes.
So I may be short and they're like, dang, I knew he wasn't about the people. No, you caught me at my
I was a little empty,
my low
right?
Exactly. What about my low moment?
Yes.
That's because you putting too much value on me as a man or as a person in the community, opposed to spreading it out. Like I'm a person just like I said earlier, a LeBron, a Michael Jackson, or anybody great, you have that in you too.
Yes.
So it's just, that's the way that I look at it all.
I love it. Let's talk a little bit about success and what it takes for people to be successful. You're a person who, whenever you hear anybody's business or idea, Kenny Peterson is like this. We were just talking about Kenny earlier. If somebody mentions their business or their thought or whatever it is, you have thoughts, you have ideas, you have things that you're willing to share. Not like a do it or else, or do it and tell everybody I told you to do it. You'd say it in the corner. You'd be like, hey, consider, you said some things to me this morning, consider this. And if I don't do it, you would never come back and be like, where is the stuff I said? I told you specifically, hang a sign right here and you double your business, you know? So what do you think, what is it, what does it take for someone to be successful in your opinion?
I think a couple of things. Number one, shout out to Kenny Peterson. What I love about him is that he truly cares.
He really does.
He truly, truly cares. And when you care on that level, it can get misconstrued once again as oh, you think you a know-it-all, you think you all this. But in reality, I want to see you succeed badly.
Yes.
And at times, as him and I talk, he will want to see somebody succeed more than they want to see it for themselves. Yeah. So that's why we would look like we're like, nagging.
Like what's
in
it for you? Yeah, it seems weird. It's like, why would you want to help me that much?
But I've seen him several times. He truly cares about other people. But what success looks like to me is, first, somebody would have to define it for themselves. You have to define it for yourself, because it may just look like, you know, having this studio to be able to have a conversation with people. It may look like a greatness cafe. It may looks like it depends on what it looks like. But for me, what it looks like is I want to operate at not only my purest form, but be able to spread that amongst the most possible people. I just want to be the best vessel for God. That's it. I don't know what it looks like.
Right.
I have no idea, but I notice everything end up working out in the end, the purer that I stay. Anytime that I start deviating, it doesn't work out as well. I start noticing, I start forcing things. So success to me looks like, how can I carry out myself in the purest form for God? And however that's supposed to look, it'll be revealed to me. You know.
I want to ask you a question, because you lived in LA for some time. How long were you in LA?
8 years, 9 years.
Okay, I didn't even realize it was that long. I mean, I probably knew that, but you saw a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You saw a lot of people succeed. You saw a lot of people fail. You dealt with failures, homelessness, a lot of things yourself. You're talking a lot about God and what God wants, right? There's a lot of beliefs out there, and I'm not asking you to narrow it down on one belief because you said you read a lot of things, which I respect. That I think if more people would read more people's books, they'd realize how much synergy it is. It's like realize that far from them.
Yeah, you realize it's all connected.
It's all connected. It's all the same thing. But there's also a lot of people who are just. I mean, this is like a genuine question for me because I struggle with this sometimes. It's like, how do you know who's right? Right? How when you saw people do stuff that was like. I'm sure, like they talk about selling their soul, and I don't know what all that looks like, and I don't know how much you know about all that, but there's people out there who would do anything to be successful.
I've seen it.
And you've seen it out there. How do you come around from being out there in the heat of LA and what goes on, and you were next to the movers and shakers, you've met celebrities, movie stars, you've had conversations with them, and not to say that they're all evil or something. How did you find your current belief, and how do people avoid not getting into something deep and dark in your opinion? And I'm asking you because you're the one person who I know who's like been exposed to all this stuff. Like, what is your thought on that?
Well, earlier when we touched, you have to evaluate the behavior pattern and what it says to do it long term. I don't care what it is. Okay. That usually, not in all cases, but generally gives you the best course of action in your answer. Okay. I don't care what it is. Ask yourself, if I continue to do this for a long period of time, how would it end?
Right? Play this game out.
Like in nature, no matter what, if you simplify it, that's what I believe, and this is just a perspective. I think Jesus came and he gave these laws. And I don't want to get too deep on the behalf of offending anybody, but I'm going to say it regardless.
Hey, you got to say it.
I think that right now, if someone told you to write out the things that works, let me say it like this. Don't steal. Okay. Because we see the results of that.
Right.
Look, you can't be sleeping with your neighbor's wife.
Right.
We see the results of that.
Right. Many people have
Don't be a glut. We see the results of that. So you've seen a large course of action, not end well doing these things.
So don't do it.
So let's write it all down. Look, man, I done been here for a while. I done came here. I got resurrected. I've been here before. Listen, stop stealing.
Right.
It doesn't work well. Wow. Stop killing, bro. Right. It does not work well.
Watch your words. Watch what you said.
You can't be eating like that.
Right.
It does not end well. You can't, you know what? You cannot make a false God.
Right. It does not end well.
And if you look at that pattern, then you'll understand how you must maneuver within things. Because every deity that came says the same stuff.
Literally.
They all got these same outlines that say, look, this is how you need to act. And this is how you do not need to act.
We be out here arguing like most of these beliefs aren't so similar. Yeah, and at the core of it, they're like the basics of it is like, don't do these things.
But think about the argument is the ego.
Yeah.
Right then it says it right. For me to argue and tell you what Jesus said, that's a lot of ego, bro.
Right.
Like me to not even not being there, but me to he said, if you live in the manner of what they say, I'm going to emulate it because it works.
Right.
You don't have to tell us.
Right.
So if I look at somebody, I should be able to know you're a Christian. You shouldn't have to tell me.
Right.
If you have to tell me, are you living in alignment?
Ooh.
If anything, like you play sports, I play sports. I can look at somebody and tell if they play basketball.
Right.
I can look at their shoulders. I can look at their posture. I can look at the way they move. I can see them shoot a basketball, and I say, okay, why? Because I've been deep in the field. Same thing with Kenny and him looking at somebody do football. You looking at some. I don't care. Even if you have a conversation with somebody right now about podcasts, their vocabulary will indicate their level of understanding. So the same thing applies to human nature as a whole. I don't have to walk around and tell you I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I'm anything. My behavior is going to tell you that, and anybody that's good will pick that up as well. Yeah. So we don't have to force nothing. That's why I say when you see people arguing a point, it has nothing to do with the thing they're arguing about. It has everything to do with their ego.
Interesting.
Because they will already be in the act.
I often think this about things too. It's like this one example was LinkedIn, right? Like I always was talking about LinkedIn, trying to teach people to use LinkedIn. Some people took me up on it, some people didn't. And I kept thinking to myself, if they understood there's little value in me teaching you how to use LinkedIn for me, because I can't charge you enough to make the money I make from actually just using the thing. If I just use LinkedIn to build my own business, I make way more money than I'm going to make getting 1,000 people to pay me a little bit of money to teach you how to use LinkedIn. It's like, so if what I believe in my faith is working, you should want to know about it because you see the fruit of it.
Somewhat, but that is, and I apologize to say it like that. That's where a lot of us mistake, because you would be under the impression that they value it like you value it.
True.
You know what I mean?
Which is fine. But my thought is, that's the thing I realized, though. I was thinking they would, and I was frustrated that they didn't.
Because they don't. They don't get it.
And then I realized, I'm like, well, it's okay that they don't, no problem. And everybody doesn't have to use LinkedIn, like everybody didn't have to use the phone book, and everybody didn't have to use news, whatever the medium was at the time. Everybody can choose how to use it. But I thought everybody would be so grateful, and they'd realize no matter what I charged for it, they would run to me and be like, it's only $100 for that? It's only $200? I'm like, I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars from this. Like, I'm going to charge you $100 to show you how to use something that can make you hundreds of thousands of dollars. But then eventually I backed up and said, wait a minute, it's no problem if they don't want to.
Let me tell you how right you are. Let me tell you how right you are on that. I thought coming back to Maslin and having a mental health cafe, I thought people cared about their health.
What was I thinking?
No. From the depths of my heart, I truly thought people cared about their health. I thought people cared about their mental stability. I mean, I really thought it.
Are you telling me they don't? Not as much as you would imagine. The place should be packed every day.
I ain't even going to talk about my place.
Oh, okay.
Forget that. I'm just more or less talking about...
I think businesses should have podcasts. I think people should create content, but I
think our community should hold businesses accountable.
Yeah,
but that's another thing. But I talked with the chef at Grizz. Shout out to Grizz.
Amazing.
And Grizz and I, we were actually sitting down and talking about. He's like, man, you know what? I can create this class for teaching people how to eat properly and doing their macros and their micro, all these things. And then we really came to the conclusion of people don't care.
People don't care.
They don't care. They don't care. They will because it's cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
And sometimes the information is so wide between their understanding that you can't even you can't say it.
Yes.
So we get people that come in and they are sometimes trying to debate with us about things that's nutrition based that we know, not think we know, we know. So I get it. I get exactly the way you're feeling. And I remember, I give you another example. You know how many people want to do public speaking?
Yeah.
And I know I get paid, and I've announced that I get paid anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000 to speak.
Right.
And I'll put on social media. Not only will I do it for free.
You did say this.
I will teach y'all how to build everything from free.
Yeah.
And you can have all the game possible.
Yeah.
Now, when I did that, I thought amongst
and this was recent.
Yeah, this was some months back.
I remember, yeah.
I thought there's thousands of people that follow me.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, we at least might have 60 people that show up. You know what I mean? It was 12. I was like, out of Maslin,
Disciples,
Canton.
12. That makes sense. That's
ironically.
Ain't that weird?
Maslin, Canton, Akron, Cleveland, a person that's traveled the world. I'm in Spain. I'm in all these different places speaking. And I'm getting paid top dollar to speak in a small market, which doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And I'm saying y'all can have it.
Yeah.
And people didn't want it. So, but that once again, I'm saying that what I equate the value of, they may not equate the value of if you don't understand it. The second thing was I set up another class where I say, you know what? I've written 3 books. I did 2 workbooks. I'll talk to anybody about how to write a book from scratch. I'll teach you step by step. Matter of fact, your wife do the same. I don't know what her testimony is, but
very few people
I'm doing it for free. You can have it. On top of that, you can have a smoothie too. And a sandwich.
And a nice place to sit down and
a place to sit down.
Yeah.
Same. We have about 8-9 people show up to learn how to write a book from scratch. So I said there's a difference because sometimes us as people, we just be talking, but we don't really mean the action behind our words because there's no behavior pattern that dictates that this is the outcome that we want.
Really want.
You know, so not to get all on that.
No, I love that.
is just true. And I don't want to like say it because I don't want to sound judgmental.
Yeah.
Because I don't mean it in that tone.
I hope you wake somebody up who's out there saying they want to do a thing, but unwilling to do the things to get to the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
let me say this. This is one thing that I learned, and I appreciate you so much for bringing up that point earlier. Yeah. Is I learned that you have to give somebody a hurdle. Although I'm giving everything away for free, a hurdle always shows you who's serious.
Wow.
When you sought out stuff, how many times did you have to bump your head to build all of this?
You mentioned I've succeeded as much as I failed. I've wasted money as much. I got stuff in the box. I don't even know if I need it yet. I thought I needed it the day I bought it. But
so sometimes, at times you have to give somebody a hurdle, and you'll find out how serious they are. Yeah. Like being out in Los Angeles, I remember paying a good amount of money to just sit down and have a conversation with somebody. Yeah. And they gave me the money back.
Wow.
Because
they just wanted to see if you were serious.
If I was serious.
That's big.
You know?
I like that
and then I'm getting that game, and then I'm saying, you know what, y'all can have this for free.
Right.
Nah, I'm good.
I don't want to that.
I'm like, all right, okay, well, stay where you at.
There's things you're saying today, I hope somebody out there, I hope this is helping you. This is about education, motivation, liberation. We want to teach you something you didn't know before. We want to motivate you to do something with what you're learning. We want to liberate you to be free, to be your best self, live your best life, have all the things you dream of. The crazy part is in this conversation, that's happening for me. I'm learning some things, which happens every time we talk. I'm motivated in a new way. You made me think about myself, because I think what happens so often is when we hear information like this, we think of who else should have heard it instead of taking it personally. When I do training and speaking, I always tell people, I tell the audience, I'm like, I hope you take this personally. I said, I know in a lot of situations, people say, no, I don't want you to take it personal. I'm like, I want you to take all of this personal. Act like I'm just talking to you. Even though everything may not exactly resonate with you in your life and your situation, I want you to take it as though it does, because that's the only way you're going to apply it.
And this life moves extremely fast.
Yes, it does.
So I'll tell this story on stage. If anybody know, one of my best friends growing up was Jeff Ford, right? From third grade. I mean, I'm talking about we was close from third grade on up to a point we share clothes and people confuse us. So he was on my phone plan as an adult, and he died on a motorcycle, the motorcycle accident in Atlanta. So when I got to Atlanta, I remember being so, I'm hurt, I'm devastated. This is somebody that's my brother. Yeah. But I remember getting his phone, right? And it's changed my life. I got his phone, and I seen that he was on his way to go see a girl, right? So he's texting her, I'm drunk, but I'm on my way. I'm faded, but I'm on my way, right? That was his last text that he sent. So when he sent that text, he ended up going to see her, and that's how he ended up dying on the motorcycle. He was drunk riding a motorcycle. But anyways, you know what she texted him after that? I knew you was a liar. You wasn't coming to see me. Lose my number. She didn't know he was dead. She had no idea. Wow. You know what I mean? So, and the part that really hit me harder is I'm looking at that text like, she has no idea.
Wow.
Like, that's how fast it is. So then, this is what woke me up more. And, the next morning, his alarm went off on his phone to go to work.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there looking at this like work alarm, and I'm like, he thought he was going to work Monday.
Wow.
The next day, he thought, even at his house, it received packages of shoes and stuff like that. He thought he was about to wear them shoes coming up.
That's deep.
He thought he was going to do everything that he had in his phone planned. He thought it. The supervisor thought he was going to show up to work that day. Everybody thought something that ended up not being true based upon them not realizing how precious life is. So, yeah, when you said take it personal, I'm telling y'all, life go quick. If you don't understand it, you got to love the people around you, hug the people around you, tell them how much you appreciate them. That's why I don't have time to deal with negativity, as you said earlier. Yeah. It's too fast. Yeah. We just graduated from high school yesterday. I seen this thing where it was this one of them compilation things around Christmas where it had Marvin Gaye and Michael Jackson and Prince and all these people on there. And I'm like, all of them is gone. But they look lively on stage. If you don't think that's going to be you, I got a news flash for you. It's going to be you too. Before you know it, if we are lucky enough, we going to be shutting our eyes with a family around our bed.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's it. So within that time, what are you trying to do? You try to be the purest version of yourself. You try to walk in alignment with a higher power.
Yeah.
God that said, here go all the things you need to do to live right.
Yeah.
And I'm not acting like we're all like I'm perfect because I'm far from it.
Right.
But that's what we're striving to be. We're trying to walk in tune with a higher power. We're trying to treat people with respect, love those people that surround us.
Yeah.
You know, because like I said, Bus thought he was going to work Monday.
Man.
Just like you think you going to work Monday.
Yes.
Just like, you know,
You think
anybody
you're gonna be able
else.
to tuck your kids in bed the next night, or
Just like we
go
all
to their
believe that.
graduation, or do whatever it is.
We all believe that, and we all get so caught up in work, and we get so caught up in everything that don't matter.
Yeah,
because
you're
you
right.
can plan for a vacation, but how you know? And I don't mean to sound dark or gloomy. I'm trying to be real.
That's real.
You planning for a vacation? How you know you're gonna see that? You know, so you try and put things in place to ensure the generation behind you do better than you. So now what? You got people, and this is a financial tip as well as some real good game. Like, a lot of people don't know what a Roth IRA is or what IRA is at all. So I tell people, you're trying to set the future up to be better than us. So if you are going to get them Jordans, I'm not going to knock you.
Right.
But at least match it
Yeah.
for your child's Roth IRA.
Right.
You get $7,500, $6,500 to $7,500 you can put in a year, and it's gonna grow. So by the time your child get 18, at least they start with something.
Yeah.
Because you didn't.
Right? Why we all keep starting?
You
from
get
the
what
bottom?
I mean?
Right.
You got the money you got from graduation, and that's the way what you had to go into the world
That's
with.
true.
$1,200,
That's deep.
$1,500, and then we not set. Man, look. That's where I start. This is the very reason why those that love me, and those that think that it's on something else will not like me.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to say it like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
So
it's just passion.
I care.
I love it. I love it.
I truly, truly, truly care. And anybody that know me know I care. And anybody that get it misconstrued, so be it. That's not the energy that's supposed to be around me.
I love and respect that and appreciate it. As we bring this episode to a close, and I know we'll do this again because we always end up doing this again.
If you don't have me on the next episode.
You just promised. You heard it here. He said I was coming on next week.
You said, nah.
Clearly, rewind the tape. But I respect it. I appreciate it. I respect you. I appreciate what you shared. Like I said, it is inspiring to me. It's insightful. It's making me think deeper. And those of you who don't know, one of the gifts of podcasting, if you listen, and we were talking about this at the beginning, is it's not about me. I want to hear from other people, and I get the benefit of a front row seat to this information. And somebody out there, you're listening to this and you're just listening to this and you're not taking it in. I hope you digest it. I hope you think about what you're going to change in your life. And maybe you're not ready to change everything, but change something. Like, make a step in the right direction to do something different based on what you heard today, whether you heard it in a clip, whether you watched the whole show, whether you heard this clip and now you need to go back and watch or listen to the whole show. Please do so, because what you learned today could change your life forever, and you just would never know it unless you try it. Cyrus, if you could give some parting thoughts, some parting words to our audience out there. We want to educate, motivate, liberate. Whether it's something that can educate them, something that can motivate them, or something that can set them free, what would you tell them?
I'll say appreciate those around you. Really try your best to be the purest version of yourself, but really love those around you and cherish those around you. It's people that truly want to see you do well. Yeah. And I've heard, you know how you get people that be like, I'm all out here by myself. Yeah. It's only me. Those is people that I called and they never called me back. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they will have support, they will have help, but whatever they may be going through at that time make them feel like they're out here by themselves. Yeah. And we want to abandon that victim mentality. Slowly but surely, but that's a loaded question, and you know that's a topic that we have probably addressed another time. But I just say cherish those around you, love the people that's around you, try your best to be the purest version of yourself. Try to watch what you put in your body all the way around the board, what you listen to, because those is affirmations. If it say shoot 'em up, kill, if it say twerk, if it say whatever it is, I'm not knocking nobody. I'm not acting like I don't listen to it. But just understand that that's a voice in your ear,
and then if
saying
you say
it over and over again.
Yeah.
Watch what you put in your body, because that's going to affect you as well. Yeah. Eating unhealthy can affect your energy. It can affect everything. So just what do you ingest from what you put in your eyes, what you looking at, what you put in your ears, what you listening to, what you put in your mouth, what you consuming, how you embrace, who you have around you. Just pay attention to everything and try your best to be the purest version of yourself with that.
Cyrus, you are somebody who has helped so many people grow into greatness. I know you're going to continue to do that. Shout out to you, all that you've done. If you guys have not checked out the Greatness Cafe, if you're here locally, how can they get to the Greatness Cafe? It's in Maslin down there on Third Street.
They can honestly just go Greatness Cafe on Google.
Yeah.
You type that in, but we're on 121 Lincoln Way East inside of the Maslin Museum.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Beautiful place, beautiful space, amazing food, smoothies like nothing I've ever tasted before. And I've told him, I said, Cyrus, I was too busy to get over to you in Maslin, so I went to XYZ place. I went some other places, and they was trying.
Yeah, it's not the same.
It's not the same. And no disrespect to their business and their business model and what they doing. I'm not even going to say every smoothie ain't healthy. You taught me that. I was like, what? I was like, wait a minute.
I know you closing, but
yeah, I know.
It's a tactic to fool the consumer.
Yeah.
And I get it. If you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
But that's why they like to use the term healthier. Like, yeah, it's healthier than pop.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not healthy.
Right.
But it's all good. It's syrup and things like that that's going to spike your sugar. And, but yeah, there's a difference. Come into the cafe.
Yes.
Matter of fact, you can come in, try it, and just make a comparison yourself. Don't even take my word.
Agree. 100% agree. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Lucas Live. I hope you've learned something new. I hope you feel motivated to do something new, and I hope you feel set free to be the best you. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time on Lucas Live.
Yes, sir.